Get the alien gunk out of your ears, nose, and butthole, because it's mid-year catch-up time on America's most talented podcast, The Pod People. I'm Matisse Van Rossum, and I hate this world. I really do.
This is the symbiote talking through Ben Sheets' mouth.
Hi, symbiote talking through Ben Sheets' mouth. I'm the ghostest with the mostest, Cleveland Mosier. How's it going?
Cleveland Moshtist.
Mostished. That's right.
Well, folks, we're here to catch up on what we've missed thus far in 2025. Ben was the winner of our predictions game for the first half of the year, so he got to choose the two movies that we watched to talk about this week. And the films that Ben chose for us could not be more different. He picked a Taiwanese, very light horror comedy film, Dead Talent Society, and then also the sophomore film of music producer Flying Lotus, which is very totally different from Dead Talent Society.
Slow burn, cosmic sci-fi horror, Ash. Yeah, the reason I picked these is Dead Talent Society I had seen before this, and I really enjoyed it. It's not in my top 5 for the year, but I did think it's fun, and I think if I didn't pick it, you guys probably wouldn't have seen it. So I wanted to share it with you guys. And Ash is something I was kind of curious about. You know, Flylo is a great electronic music producer. I love his music. And I haven't seen his first movie, Kuso, and I was interested in seeing his talents behind the camera. Very, different films, like you said. But I think they're both good picks for mid-year catch-up because I have about half an episode of material on both. I don't know about you guys, but...
No, exactly.
Yeah, likewise. Well, as I mentioned at the end of last week's episode, Ash was going to be one of those as well. Because I remember it did get a relatively short theatrical release, because we saw trailers for it in the AMC a few months ago, and I was curious as well. I also hadn't seen Kuso. But you're 100% correct. If you hadn't picked Dead Talent Society, I never would have seen it because I had never heard of it. I do see that it's on Netflix, so maybe it would be something that if I still had Netflix, I would have come across, but... definitely not the case these days. And I think we decided that we're going to start with Dead Talent Society first and then do Ash second. So yeah, Dead Talent Society, directed and written by John Su, a Taiwanese film. I would honestly hesitate to even call this a horror comedy. I think I would say that it's a supernatural comedy. Though it is sort of about the art of creating scares, it is not scary or even unsettling.
It's a horror movie in the same way that Beetlejuice is a horror movie, right? Like it uses the macabre and spooks as a plot point more so than trying to scare the audience. I think that's totally okay. I find this movie super charming. It's a perfect blend of Monsters, Inc., Beetlejuice, and One Cut of the Dead. I would love to hear what you guys thought, coming in kind of blind.
Tonally, I would compare it to What We Do in the Shadows. Not necessarily in terms of format, but not too far away in that respect either. But I do think that taking the supernatural and making it mundane and feel more like an office job is very much in line with that. And my sort of recommendation to people is that if you want more of What We Do in the Shadows, I would highly recommend it, because to me, like, they could almost exist in the same world. Like the setups and punchlines for scares. I think the formula is quite similar. Like this doesn't have the shoulder cam like documentary style where it's interviewing people, but there are similar like cutaways that I think like sort of like serve the same purpose.
Honestly, that's a pretty perfect comparison. One that I didn't necessarily make myself, but now that you've said it, I think you're 100% spot on. Because what Dead Talent Society shares with What We Do in the Shadows is this premise of sort of exploring a world of the supernatural that exists adjacent to the human world, where it's very similar but just different enough that serves as a vessel for comedy in how it's different. This movie is about a young ghost, or the ghost of a young woman who has to basically become a successful and famous urban legend in order to keep herself from sort of fading away and disappearing into oblivion. It's about how these ghosts navigate the bureaucracy and the politics of the scare industry, scaring people so that they will perform appeasement rituals that give the ghosts food, money, items, stuff like that.
All hence the Monsters Inc. comparison, which I also like. I was watching this with some friends, and I did like just outright say, like, once they made that point clear, it's like, oh shit, they're doing a live action Monsters Inc. and this rules. Like,
turning scaring people into an industry.
Yeah.
But this is obviously, like, Monsters Inc. is 25 years old at this point, believe it or not. And so this is a much more modern spin on it, and rather than sort of like industrialized labor, it's more like streaming, like Twitch streaming, influencer culture, stuff like that.
Influencer culture is the perfect way to put it. This movie is, in a lot of ways about found family too. Like, the big cornerstone of it is the young ghost gets recruited onto a team of ghosts, kind of headed by Catherine, who's an aging urban legend who had a protege who has recently found a lot of fame and kind of surpassed her, and she's trying to rekindle her old success, right? Through this group of, unlikely coworkers, she kind of finds herself. I love all the different characters on that team. They all are charming and pretty well written, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is a very sentimental film, and I think all of the sentimentality is earned. From the beginning, like, our character is just the most down and out, spiritless, cute because she's a spirit, but person with no abilities in her previous life. I love the sort of the Back to the Future mechanic with ghosts is if your family throws out something important of yours, you'll start to fade away unless you gain some sort of a following in the world.
You only exist as long as people remember you and are thinking of you.
Right. And that it works quite well. But in this circumstance, the thing that her family throws out was a certificate of like musical ability from when she was a child, and it's exposited later on in the film that like even that certificate was a fake. They printed it out to make her feel better. So she'd never really accomplished anything in her life up till that point, and has been sort of, very aimless. And her finding not only a family, but through that purpose was really special. Like I really caught myself off guard. I'm gonna be real, I cried like twice during this movie. Like towards the end, it was just, I don't know, it's just like this, just the right mood, to be like affected by that sort of thing, and it got me good, dude. I think it is like at times like it's very juvenile, and I think that it's intentionally so, and it kind of comes back around and works. Like any time I would normally find some of those bits annoying, I found them endearing. Around a third of the way into the film, it was starting to lose me a little bit. There was a number of just like kind of poop jokes back to back and stuff, and I wasn't really certain. And then like right around the time they started doing montage stuff to train her, I was like really brought back on board and like there for the rest of the film, and just learned to love all these characters. Beyond that little slump there towards the end of the first act, I think it's paced quite well. It's pretty long film.
It's about 2 hours long. I think what really wins me over, both times I saw this is the set pieces of the scares, right? Where
Yes.
we see the scares and then we see kind of how they were crafted and put together, and how they played on expectations and stuff like that. In that respect, it really reminded me a lot of One Cut of the Dead, in how kind of seeing the craftsmanship kind of strengthens your appreciation of that stuff. And I found all of that super fun. Obviously, the two later in the film are probably the standout ones, but even the opening one with Catherine, I thought was pretty excellent.
Similarly to you, what really won me over, because the film was a little slow to win me over, I'll admit that. But I think where it really shines is where we see the artifice of the scares and how the ghosts go about making them. Because, like, we see, as we get to know this world of the dead or whatever, that, like, ghosts don't really have many, like, powers or anything other than that they're already dead, and so that they can, like, kill themselves or, like, rip their arms and legs off and they'll regenerate. But it's like, yeah, the opening kill that we see is sort of introducing Catherine's character, where like a guy goes into the hotel and he goes in the bathroom and he comes out and all the walls are covered in pictures of her. The legend is that she's a jilted lover who killed herself in this hotel room. And, so he comes out of the bathroom, there's all these pictures, and then he hears a thudding from inside the wardrobe. And then the doors slowly open, and he sees her standing there, and she's banging her head into the back of the wardrobe. And then she, like, bends over backwards and, like, crab walks at him. And, that is set up and presented very much like your sort of typical horror movie. As a cold open. But later in the movie, when our protagonist, who is so much of a nobody that she doesn't even have a name, the character doesn't even have a name, they call you there throughout the entire movie. But when she sort of gets brought into the fold here, and we see them do, like, or attempt another scare on a different guy, and we're seeing all of the stuff that goes into setting up what we saw at the very beginning. The guy goes into the bathroom, and it's just, like, the four of them just running around, like, pinning the pictures to the walls as fast as they can, and, like, she gets in the wardrobe, and then, like, they have one of their ghosts, like, pull the doors open. It's just, like, you just see that's, like, it's not really all that spooky and supernatural. It's just, like, it's basically just people, like, doing their job, right?
Right.
And that's
I love that scene too, because it's like a businessman who can't be bothered to be scared. Like, he's on the phone on his laptop and they're trying desperately to get his attention and they just keep failing at it.
Because he's like a salary man who just, like, does not give a shit about his life, like, at all, and so he has no sense of self-preservation. Yeah, and he's so
focused
caught
on
up
his work. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a cute, like, commentary on, like, on the times and how much they've changed. Which flows nicely into my little thing I wanted to bring up, how each of the ghosts represents a different era of ghost haunting films. And how cute that is. Like, Catherine is, like, the classical ghost. With, like, the haunting of the jilted lover. She crab walks, like, from The Exorcist, like, she's all referencing, like, classic like, horror cinema, whereas, like, her protege Jessica is, like, coming into the, like, 90s and 2000s, and she's got, like, the fear.com thing going, like, slash a little bit of and I want to say The Ring, but, like, that's really what the Rookie's deal is, like, she like is all about, like, the cursed, phone call and the rest, and she has, like, the schoolgirl uniform.
But Jessica is a cursed YouTube video. She's like she's a creepypasta. When people watch the YouTube video, she appears behind them.
Like, that's where those archetypes, like, work so well to me, is they kind of mix and match for each character a little bit, so they have their own unique sense of personhood, as opposed to like, just being a parody of that specific thing, right? Like, That's what's nice about like Catherine is the best example for that.
Yeah, and visually and aesthetically, they're pulling from, like you said, sort of classic ghosts throughout the years in terms of like horror film history, but they're using that as sort of a vehicle to say something about influencer culture and how no matter how famous and popular you are, eventually you'll just be like old news. You'll always eventually be left behind in favor of the next big hit thing. And sort of like how cruel and brutal that cycle is. And I think that plays in really nicely to like the overall theme at the end. It's enough to just like be a good person and be a good friend and like be, in our protagonist's case, a good daughter or whatever, that like you don't have to be famous and successful. You don't have to be great at anything, that just like being is enough.
Well, that's what I love about this movie is like for as many themes as there are in this film, they're all so well threaded into the movie. Like the salary man, like that they can't seem to scare is an example of someone like giving their life to their work. And like how that can like devalue you as a person. And like that the final message of the film being about like how your value is not your labor is was like really special to me. I wish more films had that message. So it was so nice to see that like like even though she becomes this big figure, it's not about that. Like it's about focusing on the things that are important in life. I found that to be very heartfelt and sweet, and I think I love that arc the most in Catherine's character as well. Catherine starts out very bitter because she's on the out. Her protege has sort of subsumed her and taken over and stolen the spotlight from her, and she's quite bitter about the whole situation, which makes her very ice cold towards our rookie character.
Well, and reluctant to bring on another protege, right?
Yes, yeah, and she wants nothing to do with that situation, leaving it all on Makoto to work out the details there. The will they won't they with the two of them is cute too, but I really really love that by the end she learns how to pass the torch, and like seeing her come out in the rookie's like uniform as like her stunt double was, I think, like incredibly heartfelt and just so sweet to see like that idea of like passing the torch on, and like you can still be great and lift up others around you. And if anything, it's your responsibility too.
Well, yeah, like one of the themes I find most emotionally resonant in this film is the idea of what it means to be seen, right? I think the rookie kind of says that explicitly at one point in the movie. But, it's kind of grappling with the idea that being seen doesn't necessarily mean, being famous or having clout. It can be as small as having a community around you that cares about you, right? And participating in the community. And I found that incredibly powerful, right? Like she is seen not necessarily because she's the number one ghost ever, but because she has a group of people around her that support her and, kind of push her to kind of be seen more generally.
Right.
I don't know if I cried the first time I saw it, but I definitely got a little wet in the eyes at points with that. I do find it very emotionally kind of resonant and powerful. It does an excellent job of doing that and being kind of sentimental without feeling corny, which I think is a very narrow bridge to cross, and I gotta commend it,
especially considering the subject matter. Yeah, like it's such a goofy like crazy concept of a film that getting like sincerity like across through these like R-rated punchlines is impressive. To touch on that same theme, and also one of my favorite little side jokes in the film is how Makoto's character has the exact opposite problem. He was like a kind of a sexy pop singer, and like he was successful in life, but died like right before he really got the spotlight. And
He's sort of a one-hit wonder, really.
Yeah. And so yeah, making him all like equal part like a loser who's seen some degree of success with the rest of the crew, which I like. But he had it like pretty good in his previous life, more fame than most could claim. But in the ghost world, he's too sexy to be scary. Like,
yeah, that is a really funny joke.
Yeah.
That like he can only ever find success as a ghost through basically like, you know, being behind the scenes, because he's way too handsome to ever be able to scare anybody. And I like that he wears like a fake mustache too, out of fear of like being recognized by like other ghosts, you know, and being like fawned over, but the joke is that like nobody really remembers him anyway.
Yeah.
so he's wearing the mustache for like no reason. It's like at the point where he like takes it off, he's like, "Yes, it is I," and everyone's just like, "Who?" Like nobody.
Yeah, like his like goofy conflicted ego was so funny to me. And like what an amazing like callback to just keep bringing up like his karaoke videos. It reminded me very much of like those sequences in the Yakuza games as well. Like, but it's all like just like peak 90s aesthetics, and he's like doing like the sexy voice, and it always
very Rick Astley in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that shit, like it got me every time. There's even like did y'all see that very prolonged part of the end credits?
No, I think TCU left before. There's a post credits in this
There's
film.
like,
oh shit!
And it's just snippets of the music video over and over again, essentially.
The credits end, and it shows like a few seconds of him doing the thing at the end again, which is very cute and a nice way to kind of bookend the story and shut the lights off. But then they're like, and one more, and then they play another video of him doing that, and it's like, okay, we're done this time, or are we? And then it plays another one, and then they're like, okay, fine, we're done now. And then it plays a final one. It's like, all right, we're good, go home, get out of here. Like,
I'm
like,
sorry I missed that.
Well, and to me, like it's like the best example of this film like being like very like immature and just absolutely getting away with it. Like it's just so damn like cute. You can't help but like laugh at it, even though it's like again like in so many other contexts I would find it to be annoying, and I can't. Like it's too damn sweet. I appreciate movies that still make me feel young and like not like a curmudgeon. There's just so many bad movies coming out that it's just refreshing to just get something that's like upbeat and earnest. Because like so many comedy movies like this too are so steeped in like meta sarcasm and stuff. And like this is a love letter to the industry, but it's very earnest.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the sincerity of this movie. Like everything is so steeped in irony these days that like many films, especially like lighthearted comedy films, are afraid to just wear their heart on their sleeve like this. Like everything would have to be like an ironic joke. So I do really, really respect and appreciate that in this movie. I think for me, just as a matter of personal taste, like I do find it all a little schmaltzy. Like for me, it is. Sure. You said it's just too damn sweet. For me, it's just a little too damn sweet. You know what I mean? But that's like a personal taste thing, and I do find like the earnestness like really, really endearing. Like even though there are some things that like maybe make me roll my eyes a little bit, it's sort of like it's the same way that I would like roll my eyes at like a child who is like tugging on my like pants to like show me something that he found in the yard, right? Like it's like, oh, okay, yes, show me another leaf you found, but like it's cute, you know?
Yeah.
What I think keeps me from feeling like it's overly saccharine or sweet is some of the gore in this film.
Yeah.
Like we get like nice
fun.
set pieces of blood and guts, and like it gives it that little bit of salt or sour to diversify the profile a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well said. My favorite joke in the film is it isn't until they call back to it, but when she's learning how to like do a scare and maybe like what her thing could be, she's got to find her voice as a haunting. They talk about, oh hey, what if you're like the ghost that gets hit by the car, and it's like that trope. So she stands out in the road, and it takes her a few times to like work up the courage to even get hit by the car, and it's that whole bit in like every horror movie where like the people are driving and they see the ghost in the road and they pull over, or they have to swerve, and then they hit them. But here she doesn't get their attention quickly enough. She gets hit and she gets knocked down to the ground, and the person gets out of the car and looks around, but they don't see her there, and she isn't able to like get to the car in enough time to get the attention of the person because she's just in so much pain and she can't do it. And then finally she grabs onto the side of the car, and the car just pulls her down the road, just like dragging and disemboweling her into the distance, and the scene ends there. As she's careening off into the distance, I think Catherine says like, oh man, I can't believe I lent her my ghost ID. There it goes. Like, it's gone. Like, it's what I get for trying to help this person. And then she would just see her that she eventually crawls back later as healed. But at the end of the film, she has to get back to the hotel. The big event has already started that's all about her, and she's finally worked up the courage to go and show up because she saw Catherine show up as her stunt double, like we saw there, like she's passed the torch. So she changes her mind, and she has to get back there as quickly as she can. And she's like, how am I going to get there in enough time? And then we just cut to like the same shot, but in reverse, of like a car just like her just getting dragged back up the street, being like ripped across asphalt. And it's so funny, man. Like it's such a good like bit, and it reinforces that whole idea of them just like having to clock into their daily life, as the dead. That even when you're fucking like, even when you've passed on, like you just can't get a fucking break. It's just so cute.
That one is definitely a big one for me. I like the callback of her having to have the car drag her back to the hotel at the end. But I think one of my favorites, on that same note of just like the gore that the movie will throw in every now and then, is when she is trying to like do the scare on her own for the first time, and she's like, they've chased the influencers out, she's on top of the hotel, she's supposed to jump out and land on the asphalt in front of them, but she doesn't jump quite far enough, and she ends up impaling herself on like the point of the sign, and then it starts electrocuting her. So instead of the ghost just like thudding on the asphalt at their feet, it creates this insane spectacle of her just like screaming and spraying blood and being electrocuted, and like jolts of lightning like firing out everywhere. It's and that's what ends up like making her like super famous, is because the influencer that she's like targeting is gets that on camera, so it becomes like a viral sensation.
And it's so good for the story too, because it's equally earned and a delightful accident, right? Like, she has to work up the courage to jump, and she finally does, like, take that.
Well, she gets kicked off the first time.
Yeah, Catherine has to give her that push that she needs to get through. And then that next time, just to really, but when she finally has to do it herself, and she doesn't leap quite far enough, and instead, like, this wonderful event, happens instead. And it just, again, like, they managed to, like, keep the through line of an amazing sequence that all threads into the plot. It's perfect for her character, it's perfect for the themes, and it's, it feels both earned and a surprise. Like, it's great. Like, yeah, it's a really well, like, set up moment.
I really love the final set piece of the two kind of battling ghosts. of Jessica and the rookie with Catherine. Jessica has the tunnel ghosts, which are introduced in a sort of audition sequence at the beginning where there's 3 of them in identical costumes. They look nothing like each other, but they're playing the same ghost where they're in a tunnel, they'll scare people at different points of the tunnel.
It looks like they're teleporting.
Yeah, well, it would look like she's teleporting forward, except like each time it's like it's like a skinny girl, like a more overweight one, and then like just a dude. Like so each time it's just a completely different person.
They use that in the hotel, right? And it's great because we see the scare, and then we get like a play-by-play commentary on them, like behind the scenes on the scare. It's fantastic. But what I really love about that sequence, right, is it's these influencers trying to conjure both of the ghosts at the same time for a super scare, so to speak. So it's built up as like who's going to win the scare, right? And ultimately, by the end, they drop their camera and it's broken. And essentially no one wins, right? Because they don't get the recording of the ghost. And I kind of love that, honestly, because it's ultimately playing into the idea of like, it doesn't really matter, right? Everyone is working towards this, but it's kind of silly at the end.
It's literally the real victory is the friends that we made along the way. Like that's literally what this movie is about.
It's that it's not about the industry of it, right? Like that they have the camera. The camera gets them all of the views, it gets them all of the coverage, and it like improves the industry of the whole thing, right? Like it's all about like for them, like they're all focused, and I relate to this as well. Like especially when I was like starting out as an artist, like I put a lot of thought into like how many views I'm getting and like popularity and that sort of thing. And like if you get too caught up on that and you forget about the art itself, like you miss out. Like what are we even doing here, right? And so like it's a reminder that like it's not just about like the family element, but also like it's a statement that like we forgot why we were doing this to begin with. We were doing this for the love of the game, man. Like that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. I think that much like this podcast, right? Like we're here because we love to talk about movies with our buddies. And the moment like that gets old, I think we're out. And I hope it ever will. I love doing this. But so like the views are gone, the camera is gone, but the people are still there. They could fuck it. And like that's why that's why the rookie like still says fuck it. I'm still gonna jump. I'm still doing this, right? We're doing it live. And they continue to scare them down the street. And they keep at it, and they all get together and they say, that's right. That's why we're here. And because they persevere and because they push through, they scare them all the way to an Uber driver that then like crashes. And like then the whole community has to get together and make a big shrine, and the ghosts win anyway, and everyone wins. So like it's that perfect thing where it's like it's for the love of the game, and the love of the game is making art with your family. It's making art with your friends and people you care about. What a great fucking message. And it's funny.
It is, and
and
something that so much of the industry forgets about. So it is really nice. And again, like that's why it ultimately wins me over despite some of the schmaltziness, is because it's like, it's many the movie has many nice messages, and it's in that way it's very much like a feel good movie. Like I feel like it's pretty hard to come out of watching this movie not feeling sort of like, affirmed in any part of your life,
I love how there's this award ceremony for like scare of the year, and they're both playing it up like both Jessica and the rookie / Catherine are trying to make this the stamp to win awards and stuff. And ultimately the sort of Ringu ghost with the hair over her face wins. Not because she planned it at all, just because she happened to be there.
Right. Well, it's that ghost was she has a really funny name. I think it's Red Hiking Hood, and the like
little red hiking hood, something
Little
like
Red
that.
Hiking.
Yeah,
And it's like a Little Red Riding Hood ghost where like she's wearing a red hoodie with like hair in front of her face like Ring Girl. But she's just accidentally wandering through the woods and gets caught on a trail cam and wins Ghost of the Year. And like that's perfect. And, like again, it's the little accidents.
Wasn't even trying.
They're so funny. Yeah, I wasn't even going for it. And to go back to Ben's joke too, with like the 3 stand-ins, down the hall, like they're a one-off at the beginning of the story, like when the rookie is like first just going up on stage doing a small talent scouting thing.
Yeah, she's trying to get her haunting license.
Yeah, and the other 3 are there as like entrepreneurs, being like, we've got this great idea, we're going to be the ghost of this tunnel, and so we're all going to be the ghost of the tunnel, like, diversifying the labor, it's going to be sick. And then we see them later on get hired back, and like I thought it was funny as a one-off bit, but to see them come back like 3 times is just again like really quality writing. And
Yeah.
like it brings so much more meaning to each of these little stunts and these little silly moments. Like there's not a bit of fat, I think. Well, I wouldn't say there's not a bit of fat on this film. Again, like that first act is like a little paced, is a little slow.
To me, the second act runs a little long too. I think this movie being 2 hours is a little long.
Yeah.
But, by the end it wins me over again. So
100%.
Can't complain too much. Last thing I'll say about this movie is I could totally see this getting an American remake at some point.
Oh my god.
It'll definitely be watered down and not as good. But it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I feel like this is very much a crowd pleasing movie. So I could see someone, a Blumhouse or something trying to make a version of it.
Yeah.
I would say watch this instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, now we've got David Fincher making American Squid Game or whatever, because Squid Game has got really popular. It's like, what are we doing here, man? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I don't know. I don't know how many people in the States or in the West have seen this movie. I had not heard of it before this, but I mean, I hope for the sake of the film that people are seeing it, enjoying it. It's a fun, cute film.
I showed this around a couple of friend groups like right after watching it because I definitely hope it gets like more seen.
Doing the good Lord's work.
Mm-hmm.
Should we rate?
Oh
Sure.
yeah,
Ben.
I guess I'll start. Yeah. I find this movie incredibly charming and sincere. In a way that doesn't feel grating or annoying, which is a rare quality. I love this movie. Again, it's not in my top 5 for the year, but I definitely think it's one to seek out and watch. This is going to be a 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, ditto that. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just bump it just a little bit. Like my only real complaint with this film was like that bit of runtime padding. I think I'm definitely gonna watch this movie again with some other friends. I want to show it to more people. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 just for the love of the game. And I very strongly agree with the message of this movie, which is don't let like the corporate industry subsume your life, and don't forget why you're doing what you do.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm gonna give it slightly lower, and I'm gonna go with a 3.5 for me. I don't think I really loved this film, but I definitely enjoyed it, and it's very sweet, it's very charming, it's very endearing. For a movie about the dead and ghosts, I would say it's very life affirming. And I think if that sounds like your jam, especially if you like things that get a little sentimental, a little schmaltzy, then this could definitely be your bag. 3.5 for me, but definitely still a recommendation. Which, as an average, will give Dead Talent Society a very well-rounded 4 out of 5. And a recommendation to check it out. It is on Netflix currently, if you still have Netflix. All right. Now, it's time to bring things down.
Yay!
and talk about Ash. Yes, yeah, more like ass. Unfortunately,
It's a little mean.
yeah. This is the
yeah. For the sake of the joke,
it is a little mean, but also like
so was the movie. So
I'm-
was the fucking movie, though. It's also mean spirited. So it's what it is. The ending.
I kind of hated this movie, if I'm being honest. Like,
fucking sleepy ass movie, boring.
Damn. Honestly, do you mind if I start?
super boring.
Okay?
Go for it.
So
Yeah, go for it.
I want to compare this.
Should we give a brief plot overview before we get into anything?
What plot?
Yeah, fair. Honestly,
What do you mean? What do the youth say these days? It's a vibes piece, I think, is the expression.
That it is. Well, okay, yeah. So as we mentioned at the beginning, this is, and then I'll let you get into it, Clave. You could give your opinions first. But yeah, this is the second film from Flying Lotus, who is a very prolific, very well-known electronic music producer. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his music. Also, his label, Brain Feeder, he has lots of good artists on there. He's a very cool artist, and he's been involved with some TV stuff and movies before, doing music. But I guess about a decade ago, he took he dipped his toe into film, and he made a sort of gross out body horror anthology thing. I think it's an anthology, Kuso. I never saw it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Now he's back with his second film, about a decade later, Ash, which is sci-fi horror. Yeah, but boring. And now, Clave, you can do your bit.
Yeah. Also worth noting, between those, he also did a one episode or one short from VHS 99.
Oh, did he? Okay, I didn't see that. I haven't seen that one.
I honestly, like, those movies were all run together for me. I couldn't tell you which one is which and what part is what from whatever. I could not be fucked. I know Ratma is neat, and a few other things.
That's the last one that I saw. Whatever the one.
Same.
That's the last one that I saw.
I think that's 94.
Right? I don't fucking. I honestly couldn't tell you. Yeah, there's no synapses there. So yeah, with this film, I wanted to compare it to another mid-year catch-up film that we did a number of years ago, and that's Blood Machine.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, and because I want to start, because there's going to be, as I think we have well foreshadowed at this point, ham-fistedly so, there's going to be a lot of shitting on this movie, and I do want to start out with the faintest praise, which might be equally damning, but whatever. That is that I do like this movie a margin more than Blood Machines, which and I think that these films are setting out to do the same thing largely. That is pay homage to sci-fi horror, with a ramped up palette and just essentially amplified, sense of maximalism. This movie, whereas Blood Machines has some of the worst acting I've seen in a while, and not to a fun degree. Even still, I mean, years and years on, I'm hard pressed to think of a film I've seen that has like worse, less fun, poor acting. This film hired a very competent cast. Like, the faults I have with this movie are hard to place on the actors themselves.
Word?
Possibly minus the lead. But I will say that, like, I definitely hold on. I think that my problem with this movie sits entirely with the script. Like, it is I don't think any actor could save the dialogue in these movies. And I think that the most of the sequences are drama with a capital D, and they're largely needless. And I mean, that goes for so much of this film. I think the intent is just a mess. And I think that almost every decision that was made in this for the purpose of aesthetics. And as an artist, I love that, but like, I need more than that. Like, it's not working for me. Yikes. Like, just really, really rough script, man.
It's funny that you compare it to Blood Machines, because after the movie, I turned to Tease and I was like, do you think this is better or worse than Blood Machines?
And my response was, I don't think it really is better or worse than Blood Machines, but really what this movie is what if Blood Machines was incredibly boring instead of misogynistic? Like,
Yep.
that is really like what I was thinking the entire time. And we can get some more into specifics, but I do think it's interesting that you think that this movie is like well acted, because like I think the only like moderately decent performance in the movie is Aaron Paul, and I don't think he's giving a great performance either. I think the lead, what's her face?
Isa Gonzalez.
Isa Gonzalez.
She was in Ambulance,
Yeah.
which I thought she was great in Ambulance.
Yeah, I thought she was terrible in this. I thought she was just awful. And I thought she was so bad in this that I didn't like recognize her from anything. I was like, who is this? Where did they find this woman? And then I pulled up her IMDb and I was shocked to discover that I've seen her in like 5 other movies.
Yeah.
including Ambulance.
After the movie, one thing I mentioned with this is it feels like a min-maxed movie, in RPGs when you maximize certain properties and ignore others. And it's like they put all of their points into sound design and music and colored gels and ignored everything else because the music and sound design, is very thoughtful and good, and obviously they overuse the fuck out of colored gels like every scene.
Well, that's something that really frustrated me as well. Like, the number one word I would use to describe this movie, I think, is amateurish. And sure, it is, Flylo's second film or whatever, but it's like it has all of the hallmarks of like a half thought out student film. And also, much like student films, and this is me pointing the finger back at myself, like, just the only thing that this movie has in terms of style, that thinks of in terms of style, is use as many colored gels as possible. Like, that is the extent of what you have to do, because honestly, beyond that, I don't think this movie is like stylistically interesting at all. The editing is totally unremarkable. Like, aside from the lighting, and again, it's not even very good lighting, it's just colored gels. But aside from that, the cinematography is just like fucking 2-shot, medium close-up, establishing shot, medium close-up. Like, not even like getting weird with the angles or anything, just like the camera is so static. It's like it's all just fucking flat.
Some bad CG too.
Bad CG that doesn't match the lighting at all. Like, they couldn't get their CG to match the shade of the colored gels they were using. So it's like a slightly different shade of blue on like the robot arm or whatever.
Like, it's rough. Like, there are a couple of shots in this film that look like particularly egregious. I think one of the worst is like the like expository shot of the little like station itself, like the outpost. Like, it has some really like incongruous, like kind of flat lighting on it that makes it look like really artificial. And yeah, like you said, like a lot of the things in scene like aren't lit to scene, because how could they be? Like, it would take like so many fucking light sources, like in rendering, which I know is expensive. Like, I get it, but also like like, come on. But then I gotta say too. Then, on the opposite hand, there are some gorgeous looking shots and sequences. Like, well, I shouldn't say sequences. Like, that imply, like, I think any full sequence of this film is great. But, like, there are some, like, Like some of those like isolated shots where like the character faces are like melting or warping, like I thought looked incredible.
Every now and then, like, things align and you'll get like a cool shot. There are some, like, for as much bad CG as there are some cool practical effects. Like, yeah, all those little sort of like flash, like, nightmare shots that she's like imagining of, like, yeah, people's faces melting. Like, that stuff is practical. It looks very cool.
Oh, is
But
it?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it's probably practical enhanced with some CG, but it's what they, it's sort of the classic old school method of like making like flesh melt, where like you build like a wax face and then just do a time lapse of like it melting under applied heat.
Yeah.
They do that a few times. It's always super brief. I would like to see some more of that.
Yeah. Well, and the issue is that like we flashed that immediately, almost immediately. Like our character is like stumbling around the station, and like they have a vision of that, and it looks incredible. And I almost wish that they hadn't I do like wish that they hadn't blown their loads, because like those shots are some of the coolest looking things in the film, and they open with them, so they have like just really nowhere to go to ramp things up or like make big changes, and like they kind of do, but like it's just more of the same. I was so underwhelmed by it, but I think the most egregious like sort of effect is also I think like the most important aspect of the plot, and that is the digital like evolving alien squid that makes its way into people's bodies and controls them, a la the
Venom symbiote,
Venom symbiote, the thing from Animorphs, like whatever you want to, pick a sci-fi trope.
Pick your alien sci-fi. Like it's
like literally
it's
everything
so generic.
Along with every other concept in this story, like it's all like high. It's all like it's just other people's high concept sci-fi ideas, like staged together. There's very little originality in this film, which is really frustrating because there's no like plot or character either, like that is unique or original. It's just a weak collage. And that sucks, man. Like again, when like there is good work on this movie. Like I said, like there are some cool practicals, there are some pretty cool CG sequences, but those fucking aliens, they enter people's bodies through like the mouth or the ear, or in our protagonist's circumstance, through the tiny cut over her eyebrow. And like, there's no weight to it at all. Like, it just like, it's this like fist, like, okay, like I get the idea that octopi can fit like a large octopus can fit through like a quarter-sized hole. Like, and I understand how that can be scary and that can be done right. But when you have an entirely like CG creature that doesn't match the environment, like stuff its way into someone's like tiny cut above their eyebrow, it looks so cheap, and it takes away everything from the character. And like her face doesn't distort or morph at all. Like it just kind of like slips in like without any effort. And it like completely removes any sense of like grounding or realism or fear that a person could have over this thing. Like it cheapens it cheapened that whole scene for me. And for fuck's sake, it's our protagonist being taken over. And before I stop yapping, the last thing I just wanted to say in my angry little ramble is that this film, I think, has the biggest sin of all for, I think, its characterization. And I think that it kind of exemplifies all of the problems with this movie, is that Ripley, one of the best protagonists in films, just generally, in my opinion, has to prove herself, right? Over the course of the film Alien. She does not start the movie as the protagonist, she rises as the protagonist, and the moment she becomes the shining protagonist of the film is when she learns to observe quarantine. And this character in this movie does literally the opposite. Like, her moment of characterization is when she stops observing quarantine on the vessel and endangers her entire crew and gets all of them killed. Why am I supposed to like this character at all? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I mean, why are you supposed to like the character otherwise? Like, even without that detail, it's so fucking frustrating. So much of this movie
It is frustrating.
is just fucking sullen, mopey ass characters wandering around fucking a spaceship or a space station or whatever it is that's lit like a fucking discotheque in 2013, that just like being sad and trying to figure out like a mystery that is completely unengaging and uninteresting, and is, who killed all of these people? Who killed all the rest of the crew? Well, spoiler alert, she did, and the aliens did, and it's very obvious that that is the case from the very beginning of the film.
Yeah, there's no trust in the viewer.
Why do I care? Why do I care about the mystery at all? I already know what happened. I know what happened from like the first 5 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, I have some very strong opinions of the structure of this movie. The movie kind of structures itself as our main character has amnesia and is trying to piece together what happened to all of her dead crew. And the problem is with that structure, like, on its surface, like, that structure has been done plenty of times and been done well plenty of times. The problem is with this movie, there's no sort of narrative propulsion to drive the narrative forward in meaningful ways. So instead of giving us consistent, like, big set pieces throughout the film, she's just moping around, and the flashbacks we get of her memory don't give us anything exciting or add to any sort of narrative tension of the film, right? And so we're left feeling like the tension isn't building. It's just so static throughout the film that it feels like nothing is really happening. And that's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem, and it's like, the first big flashback we get where we are introduced to like the other characters who are either missing or we've like seen their corpses or whatever. It's just like them sitting around the table like having breakfast in what feels like a pretty clear homage to Alien, which is also, how we start to get to know those characters as well.
Homage,
but the difference is that it is. I am being generous using homage. The difference is like that's a script written by like Dan O'Bannon, and this is a script written by some guy named Johnny Rimler, who's like Danish or something, who hasn't written anything else of note. So it's just like the characters are not interesting. Honestly, the secondary crew characters are some really atrocious actors. My man Flylo included, unfortunately. He does insert himself in there, and he's not very good there. But like, we're not learning anything interesting about these characters. Like, it's just, it's so fucking boring. And
Batiste, her boyfriend plays trumpet once.
Oh yeah, he brought his trumpet to space. That's quirky and weird, right?
I swear to God, like when it cuts to that scene, I was like, what? Why is there a trumpet shadow on the white? What? Yeah, anyway. Sorry, I have to carry on.
Yeah, me too. No, me too. But it's just like, okay, so they're doing this to like set up these characters, and the intention is to show their camaraderie and care for each other so that we care about our protagonist trying to figure out what happened to them. Like, that's the intention, but the execution is so wanting. The acting is bad, the script is bad, so we don't care about the characters. So then, for the rest of the movie, with her trying to piece together what happened with her amnesia and so on and so forth, you could not be bothered at all. Like, I don't care that these characters are dead. I don't care about the implications of them being dead. I don't care that it's pretty clear that she killed them. Like, It's just like, what are we fucking doing here? And again, this is the thing that is like set against these totally unmotivated fucking colored gels everywhere. There's like maybe 3 shots in the whole fucking movie that have anything approximating the color white. You know, that have any sort of like white balance. I don't know. It's just like that. I get so hung up on that shit, but like it makes the movie feel so dated too. Like the era of like colored gels being like super artsy and stuff, that was like 10 years ago, dude. 10 years plus. Spring Breakers was 13 years ago. Nicholas Winding Refn hasn't made a movie in fucking years. Like the era of the artsy like colored gel lighting is fucking in the past. So like this just feels like, yeah, it just makes it feel outdated. Honestly, the whole aesthetic of this movie, all the CG and everything, it is Republic of Gamers. That is the aesthetic of this movie.
No, I wrote down my joke. You know, like when you're doing art direction for a film, you take like shots from other films or paintings or things that you like, and you compile them together on like a big image board, and then maybe you color correct from there to kind of get a better sense, right? Like I think this one, like their art board is just like one picture of a fucking Corsair keyboard. Like it's just it's gamer. Like this whole movie has gamer lighting. Like yes, that's the aesthetic of the film.
For the people who are listening and not watching the video stream, I just held up my Republic of Gamers gamer keyboard. It's just like, but it's like even outside, but like the lighting is totally that, but also like the fucking like little alien squids, especially like when it's like in her brain and it's talking to her, and we keep getting like the shot of like the eye with all the tentacles, and it's doing like subtitles. It's like that looks like it's out of like Fallout 1. It's just like the whole thing is just like the suits they're wearing are like a cross between like Dead Space and Halo. Like the flamethrower that she uses looks like the fucking plasma cutter from Dead Space. Like the whole aesthetic of this movie is just gamer shit.
Well, like what's really frustrating is like she uses the plasma torch. Like, I mean, the plasma torch is also like a very, very clear reference to The Thing, and she uses it in a similar way.
Yeah.
Problem, they use CG fire. Like, so, like, my dude, if you're gonna like do homage to like one of the GOATs, like one of the best, like again, like horror films ever made, like I don't know, like maybe like bring your own shit to the table for it, like. Like I would have taken anything, but like instead they're just doing it but worse. Like, cool, man. Why are we fucking here? Like, what are we doing?
There's a shot where one of the like possessed like crew members or something is like walking towards her, and she like blasts it with the flamethrower, and is like walking, and it like walks past a fire extinguisher on the wall and like slams the fire extinguisher with its fist, and it comes out and extinguishes the fire on it.
It's almost cute. It's almost a cute idea.
Dude, I turned to Ben and I said, I bet they thought that looked hard as fuck. And he's like and Ben's like, well, it kind of did. And I was like, yeah, it would have if it wasn't CG fire.
Yeah.
Like it's a cool idea, but like if they had actually had like a person like on fire, you know, with like if they'd done it practically, that would have been a cool moment. Probably.
Yeah.
But
and
it's
maybe and then maybe paste a little bit better in the editing so we see it coming around the corner sooner, like sequencing it a little more clearly, and maybe also like adjusting the cinematography so it was a little bit lower and more heroic. Like I think it might be hip shot, but it might have been a little bit higher. It just didn't strike me very, like it wasn't framed to be as intimidating and cool as it could have been, because again, this whole movie has a very it's a hyper psychedelic sci-fi film, but like they gave it they took a workman's approach to the scene composition.
I mean, the CG is so disappointing because it's not tactile at all. Like, one of the things I always heard about Kuso, Philo's first movie, is, you know, while it's a gross out movie that's kind of divisive, it is kind of a practical effects showcase on a lot of that. They used a lot of practical effects. So even if it's kind of silly and amateurish, it feels tangible because it's all these practical effects. Where this, because they use CG so much, it's so weightless in its execution. And it just doesn't leave you with much overall to grasp onto. It's really disappointing. And I will say they even try things stylistically in this film. Like I won't argue that like this is totally just easy cinematography approach. They try things, but the problem is the things they try are also kind of derivative. Yeah. Like they do an extended first person sequence, right? Where we see everything from the main character's perspective. It feels very hardcore Henry-esque. The problem is we've seen that before, right? It doesn't bring anything new to the table by doing that.
Yeah, again, it's video gamey, as it,
But like, there's even like, but even the video games that like it's pulling from, I think, have more clear like consideration and intent. You mentioned the spacesuits. I did want to touch on like purely in isolation. Like if you just put them in a box, I really like their design. For the budget the film had, like, I think that they were really cool. They made a couple of them for it. Like, essentially, it's like an exosuit that has like these really cool organic patterns along the type of the head. Like, it almost looks like they grew like they grew the plastic through like some kind of like fungal mold or something. And like, I think that is really cool aesthetically. But the characters just are coming from Earth, like, to this station. Like, why do the suits look like that? What's the intent behind it? Like, the threat is this, like, organic, like, biomass. But they're not. Like, they're not part of that, and they don't come from that. So, like, there's no, like, design, friction there or anything. Like, and, like, the consideration to me, like, it has to have just stopped at, like, this is neat, let's do it, as opposed to, like, thinking about like those, like the meaning behind it. Like, why do the suits look that way? Meanwhile, underwater, when we talked about that film also has really great suits in it, and their design and intent makes perfect sense in that world and that environment. To pick a recent film, there's cool suits.
Well, again, this movie evokes so many things, but they're almost all bad to me. Is like I'll bring up fucking Nicholas Winding Refn again, because like my biggest problem with all of his shit, and I think the pretty common like complaint with him as a filmmaker for people who don't like him, is that his films are style over substance. Like, they're all, like very considered in terms of how they're lit and shot and blah 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 and all of this stuff, but the story is just meandering and boring and there's no character whatsoever. And this is the same, but it's cheap. It's crazy that, like, I'm watching this movie and it's making me want to, like, give Nick Refn credit. But, like, at least something like Only God Forgives looks like a real movie. It and feels like a real movie.
Or something like Drive, it feels like it has so much more weight. Than this film, right? Like, even if the story is equally minimal, like, it feels like there is tension in the storytelling and there's narrative drive, where this feels so weightless.
Well, and to go back what you were saying, Cleve, like, it really does feel like so much of it is just nothing beyond rule of cool, which I don't have a problem with if the movie is fun, but the movie isn't. And so, like, you really do start thinking about, like, the motivations for a lot of this stuff. Like, yeah, in a vacuum, the spacesuits look cool, but why do they look like that? It's the same thing with the lighting. Why is this little, like, research station lit exclusively with purple, blue, red, green, orange gels? Why does it look like this? why is it lit like a club and not like a research station? And again, if I was having fun, I wouldn't care about that, but I'm not having fun, so it's all I'm thinking about.
What kills me about the rule of cool thing is I think they almost pull it off in the last 20 or 30 minutes, right? When we actually see escalation, we see monsters, we see sort of kung fu violence, we see craziness. And it feels so unwarranted, right? Because there's no tension build up to that point.
No.
And it feels like they pulled their punches so long to the point where I stopped caring, right?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that stuff kind of made me angry because I was like, why didn't you have this earlier in the movie? This would have gotten me into the movie. You lost me 30 minutes ago. You can't win me over now.
Yeah, like I think like the Aaron Paul necromorph that she fights at the end is a genuinely cool looking monster and largely done practically. And I think, again, in a vacuum, I think it's very fucking cool. Derivative, extremely derivative, but very cool. But exactly like you just said, Ben, by the time that stuff happens in the movie, I am so asleep and just like ready for this to be over that I no longer care. It's like it's too little too late to win me back over. If you had put some of that stuff earlier in the movie, even if you spread it out, like it might have been enough to like sort of keep me hooked, like ready to get to that point. But it's just like by the time I've spent an hour plus watching fucking Isa Gonzalez like wander around this place and argue with Aaron Paul, like I just why do I care by the end of the movie?
Well, the film has essentially taught you not to.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a better term for it, but I'm just gonna coin it real quick as like dead drama, where like we have several scenes where Isa Gonzalez and Aaron Paul are having arguments with each other because the plot demands it and for little other reason. Like in any other sci-fi film, like the explanation of their only way out and their only time is when this orbital station is over them and there's a window there and they have to like make the next window. Like that's pretty clear. I think all characters like should care about their own survival there. But instead that has to be an argument between Isa Gonzalez and Aaron Paul. And like she wants to figure out more about her past and like that's cool, we get it, but Aaron Paul's bit is like, we have to get to the space station, though. It's an
endless argument,
and they
too.
keep saying the same thing at each other again and again. Exactly.
Yes, they have this same argument multiple times in different scenes where, yeah, you're right. It's like she is so fixated on like recovering her memories and figuring out what happened, while Aaron Paul is like, we can figure this out later. We literally have this one window to get up to the orbital or we die. And it's like the fact that she's so resistant to that, it's like, why? Why would she be resistant to that?
Yeah.
It's like if you want to figure out what happened here, that's sort of predicated on being alive. And you have to do this one very specific thing in order to remain alive. So why are you fucking arguing about it? Why are you spending so much time arguing about it?
Yeah. And it makes even less sense in like context to the reveal that Aaron Paul is just like the creature in her head, like telling her what to do. But then, to spoil the end of the film, when she finally does get away and fly up to the space station, we see that the station has already been corrupted by the entity. So why does it care? Like,
exactly.
Why does it need her up there as opposed to the planet that it's from? It doesn't make sense. I guess
because it says that like it's gonna use her to go back to Earth and enslave the human race. So even though it has taken over the station, it still needs like a vessel or whatever. It doesn't make sense. It's incredibly stupid. It's very flimsy. And again, it's super derivative. Like once the fucking eye is like in her brain and talking about like it's a great privilege to become one with our collective,
word.
with our hive mind.
Yeah,
Dude, well, no, it's just the fucking necromorphs from Dead Space and like the Brethren moons. Like that's especially when the monster attacks her after that, the Aaron Paul monster. Like it just is like a necromorph from Dead Space that comes out of Aaron Paul. It looks cool. It's a cool effect. I like it. It looks good. But yeah, and
well, to my last point, and then I'm pretty sure I'm done. Actually, to my first point as well about the casting, there's one specific member of the cast that I think very much needs to be included in my point about this film being well cast. And that's Uko Uwai, whose name or Iko Uwai, who I'm probably pronouncing wrong. But he's the ship captain. He's the fucking Raid 2 guy. Like, he's one of the best martial artists in cinema. Like, ever. Like, he is... Getting him on your set is an amazing pull. Like is one of the best pulls you could have. And they got him for, like, a scene to do, like, a drop kick on somebody and, like, flip around a table, and that's it. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what a waste, man. Like, I didn't realize I wanted it until I saw that scene in this film, but, like, I would, like, fucking kill to see, like, a martial arts sci-fi film, like, starring him. Like, it would be
cool.
So fucking sick. Like, same budget, same practical, same everything else, but, like, deliver on, like, some cool combat. Like, again, I don't need the plot to be amazing, I just need anything. Like, and, you know, we're talking about, like, oh, you know, like the alien, when it pops up in her head, it looks like something from Fallout. Like, honestly, dude, I don't care if it looks like it's from Fallout if it serves a cool purpose, right? And I think we all agree with that to some capacity, right? It's the old, you know, like, when I go to see a stage play, like, I'm not critiquing, like, the, and I'm quoting, you know, like, other people when I say this, but, like, you know, like, it's, the paper trees, you know, on stage. Like, you don't critique that because it's not what it's about, right? Like, it's setting. But, like, when that's all that there is, what the fuck else is there to critique, right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's a bummer.
If I was having fun, all of these aesthetic things would not bother me as much. But I'm not having fun. I'm incredibly bored. I'm disengaged from plot and from character. So all I can do to entertain myself is question the technical decisions, the aesthetic decisions, and, like, why are you doing this? Why does it look like this? Like, and yeah, it's unfortunate.
If this was made in Hong Kong in the 90s, it would have a steady string of kung fu scenes with
like if
Iko
Golden
Uwai.
Harvest produced this, holy shit.
Yeah,
man.
like if it was Lam
if
Ne
only.
Choi, you know, Seventh Curse guy doing this. It would have so many more set pieces. And, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, give me more set pieces. Give me more memorable moments. And don't just back end them.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I'm already out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so.
I'm totally checked out. And, well, you know, like, to end on a positive note, like you mentioned at the beginning, Ben, I do think that this film punches a bit above its weight in terms of the music and the sound design as well. Like, the sound design is good. There's a lot of consideration. There's a lot of, like, work put in there, and, you know, it makes sense. Philo is primarily, he's an audio guy. Like, that's what he's obviously very great at, you know. And so that's where the movie shines. It's a shame that it's in service of such an otherwise, like, frustrating, amateurish kind of deal. But yeah, I mean, Philo, I think you should stick to what you're good at, brother.
I'll say, like, as much as, like, I did not enjoy this movie, and I was really, like, disappointed in this film. Keep making movies. Like, I'm okay with it if it drives him and if it's his passion. Like,
that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though, and this is totally just me projecting whatever. Obviously, I don't know the man, but this movie does not scream, "This is my passion" to me.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like, and I think considering the fact that, like, you know, he's only done like 2 movies in 10 years, like, I think it's a curiosity for him. Like, cool if he's having fun with it, like, you know, get together and make art with your friends. Like, obviously that's the message of the last movie, and that's fine and that's great. And you know, maybe we are being overly harsh on this, but like, yeah, I don't. This doesn't feel like this is something that Flylo is passionate about.
At the very least, I think that, like, oh man. Well, I was gonna say it should be somebody else's script, but I guess this was.
Yeah, it was somebody else's script, but also it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't think the direction is particularly competent here. I'm like competent, I guess, but it's not like, I don't think the direction's very good. The acting is obviously quite bad, you know. So like, yeah, I don't know. But the music is good, but the sound is good, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. This just feels like him just kind of like playing around. Like, this doesn't feel like something that he's like really passionate about. I don't feel the spark of passion when I watch this movie.
Yeah.
I think that, and obviously it's like, I think he's a great artist. I think that if he was really passionate about this, it would be better.
Yeah.
I believe that. Like, I think he's very passionate about his music, and his music is great, you know? But anyway, are we ready to rate this one?
Yeah, I think so. I'll start again. Boring. Yeah, didn't bring much of anything to the table. Feels amateurish, like you said, Tease. When it does get interesting, it's too little, too late. This is a 2 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, this is my favorite genre, one of my favorite producers, some of my favorite, like, cast members, and in service of almost nothing. Really bummed out over this movie, frankly. I was quite excited going into it. I love rainbowy visuals and psychedelic horror. Like, Annihilation is, I think, like, equally one of all of our favorite films. But when it's in service of nothing, it's really, really, really frustrating. I'm also gonna give it a 2. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a unanimous 2 then, because that's where I was at as well. I almost took it a step further and said a 1.5, but I won't give it I won't give it that much of my ire. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, well, I think another great example of a movie that aesthetically I think does a lot of what this movie is trying to do, but does it really well, is Mandy. You know, also a very slow, kind of thoughtful, weird, psychedelic film with like a crazy payoff at the end, you know? But it's just so much more interesting, and it's so much more stylish and creative, and, you know, just, yeah, I mean, they shouldn't even be discussed in the same breath, frankly. But anyway, yeah, so that was Meteor Catch Up. That was 2 movies. One good, one not so good. The duality of cinema. And sometimes things are just okay. But yeah, next week, I believe it's my pick.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about this pick. It's one of the types of pick that I like to do every now and then is the diamond in the rough, is the flawed masterpiece. Masterpiece is maybe a strong word, but something that is like maybe not technically great, but has enough interesting, cool ideas that it's, you know, worth talking about. Something, Daybreakers is an example of this type of pick I've done in the past.
Dark City is a
Dark City is a good one, yeah. But yeah, so what we're going to be talking about is a film from the year 2001, I believe, directed by Christoph Gans, who did the Silent Hill film.
Yeah.
We're going to be watching Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Fuck yeah! I've been wanting to see that with the tricorn hats and it's all edgy looking.
Yes.
Dude, oh, thank you. Okay, good.
It
I can't wait.
is-
I'm fucking hyped, dude. I've never seen it. I've always wanted to watch it.
I think you're gonna have a great time with it, particularly.
Yeah!
It is a very strange film that takes a number of very big swings, some which pay off and some which do not.
Yeah.
But it is a fascinating film, and From Software's Hidetaka Miyazaki is on record stating that this film is a large aesthetic inspiration for Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, yeah.
Which
yeah, I can't wait, dude.
You can see it very easily. So yeah, it is quite long. It's about 2.5 hours, but I think it's gonna be. It's one of those movies where I'm really Cleve that you're not still in North Carolina. I would love to be in the same room with you while you watch this movie.
Yeah.
But so next week will be Brotherhood of the Wolf. Until then, if you like the show and you want to support us, then why don't you leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. And you could also, if you really want to go the extra mile, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/podpeoplepod. Throw us a few bucks a month. You can get early episodes. You can get access to our Discord. Shout out to our honorary pod boys, Sam, Zach, Micah, and Mitchell. We love you guys. Kisses. Hope y'all are having a good year in cinema. And last but not least, you can also follow us at Letterboxd or on Letterboxd, Pod People Podcast, where you'll find a list of all the films we've talked about on the show with our average ratings and links to those reviews. My recommendation, and then I will shut up, finally. As I mentioned on last week's episode, if I had won the predictions game, I was going to choose Ash, and then I was also going to choose another film, which is going to be my recommendation for this week, because Ben and I did watch it. The new film Locked, starring Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins, or Bill Skarsgård gets locked in Anthony Hopkins' car. It's actually a very, very fun movie.
I had a blast.
I'm excited to check it out, yeah.
Very goofy, very heavy-handed social and political commentary, but honestly, 2 actors punching way above the fucking weight of this film. Anthony Hopkins mostly just voice performance because he's old, but they did manage to get him on set for probably about 20 minutes at the end there. It's a very, very fun time, and frankly, they do some pretty impressive technical stuff as well, like shooting inside that car. Like Ben and I were having a fun time trying to figure out how they did certain shots. So yeah, check out Locked. It's well worth your time.
It gets much crueler and gnarlier than I would have ever expected, which is a big plus for it.
Anthony Hopkins is chewing it up.
Yes, he's fantastic in it. My recommendation for this week is Flying Lotus, his album Cosmogramma, which is my favorite Flylo album. Just some excellent music, much better than Ash. Definitely is a high point in his career, in my opinion. Definitely worth a listen.
Nice. My rec this week is going to be the documentary Miyazaki and the Heron, which is as one would expect, a documentary that was shot during the making of his latest film, The Boy and the Heron. I finally got around to watching it, and I'm really, really glad I did. And I think it does a great job of showing you how and why a man in his 80s can still make such a difficult piece of work, or take on the challenge of making a fully animated feature film that is at the same level of quality as the rest of his work. It's also just a really delightful slice of life. Much of the film is just almost the entire film is shot on a cheap DV cam. It was just someone with Miyazaki filming from time to time. So a lot of it is just his commute to work, talking to school children. It's very sweet, and equally just him smoking out back, regretting much of his career. the insights into the mechanics of Studio Ghibli are really fascinating to me as well, and also equally affirming too. So I think like especially like if you're a creator, I would really strongly like recommend it. And that's it.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, folks, thank you as always for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, stay dead.